the beauty of life and the beauty of football is we don't know. It's difficult to predict the future, but what I can say is we've got a good group, a really good group. I said that consistently. It wasn't so long ago I was answering questions about it was our record without wins run, So things turn around pretty quickly, or the narrative can change. So it's important not to get too carried away with things. But as I said, always you're trying to make small steps. And the way the Premier League works is sometimes you go this way and then you go down, and then you have to get yourself back up again, and then you have to go again, and it's not a massive quick change. It just happens over time, and that's what we've been doing. Keep working. As I've said before, we've got an ambitious group. We've got a hungry group. They're a joy to work with in terms of they overcome setbacks quickly. They want to get better. And, they're enjoying the football together. So when you've got that, you've got a chance.
When you look at the league table, 23 games down, you've got a game in hand on teams above you, sometimes 2 games in hand. You're very much in the mix for European football. Does it feel like that for you? Is that your target?
Not really. It doesn't. The target in terms of where we are at the end of the season isn't something that we think about. It's more about focusing on the next match, and that sounds boring, but that's what we do. And it's been the same for the last couple of years. I mean, it's nice that we're not in that bottom end shake-up, if you like, at the moment. So that's nice. That gives us all a different feeling, and we should at least enjoy that. But I think you're mistaken if you think that you start to worry about what might happen in May, and we're in February and we've got a lot of games and a lot of points to play for. So our focus is on that, and just obviously we have a tough game on Tuesday night, and we'll do our best to go there and perform well, because you need to if you want to get any points.
Up next, Manchester United. For you, actually quite a special occasion. It will be your 100th Premier League game as the Brighton manager.
Wow. Yeah, I found out 5 minutes ago. So that's a nice landmark. It's a proud landmark. It's not easy to get. And it's when I look back over not just the 100 games, but the rest of my life to be able to get the opportunity to have the 100 games. I'm very fortunate and very, very appreciative of it.
You must have been, if someone had said that to you at the beginning of your Brighton journey, that you'd get to 100 Premier League games, you'd have been a part of you would have been quite proud of that, because modern football, things can change so quickly.
Yeah, after the first game, I probably thought I could get 600 games because we won 3-0. I thought this is easy. So how wrong I was. And then the first year, I don't mind saying, the first year here was the toughest year of my life. In terms of the challenges on and off the pitch. So yeah, to come through that and to still be here and still be progressing the team and being part of this great football club is, of course, I'm very happy about, very appreciative of, and grateful for.
Looking ahead to the Manchester United game, who's of course up next, you go there with this incredible record this season away from home. You've only lost one Premier League game away from home, which is the same as Manchester City. What is it about your away form that makes you so strong? What is it about your performances away from home that perhaps this season you've done something you haven't done in previous campaigns?
Well, I think lots of things. It's a good question. It's hard to give you the answer in terms of totally a satisfactory answer. I think it's a combination of, we've been lucky. We've played well. We've shown a fantastic attitude to not give up and to keep going until the end. We've learned a lot from the process that we've been on in terms of the first couple of years together. And there were times last year where the margin that has maybe gone our way this year didn't go our way, and then results determine everything. So a process, of course, of how the team's developed, and I think we've got better as a team. And over the last 2 years, if I'm honest, our performance levels have been really, really good. Last year, it's hard to argue that because we're down the bottom, but if you look at the underlying performance data that there is out there, apart from the score, which we know is the most important thing, our performance over the last couple of years has been strong. So, as I said before, I said last year, you have to maintain the performance level and you hope the results turn around. And it's when the results aren't going your way, everyone wants an answer. Well, how are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix it? And sometimes you have to say, well, it's football, it's life, and it can happen. You just have to stay, as I said, stay on that journey that sometimes it will be up and down, but you have to zoom out of what is the emotional ups and downs of football and stay on the path that you're on, and I hope that you can eventually, the results turn your way.
Final one from me. Manchester United up next. I think from the outside, everyone will look at that fantastic football club with this great history and identify that things aren't quite right for whatever reason. Why do you think, as a fellow Premier League manager, that Ralph hasn't been able to get performances right, pick up results, get the best out of that very talented group of players? I know it's perhaps difficult to answer in a press conference scenario, but for you, as someone with a detailed technical knowledge of football, why do you think things just aren't going well at Manchester United?
Well, I've only got a detailed knowledge of Brighton and Hove Albion. I haven't got a detailed knowledge of Manchester United. So the person to ask, if you think that's the question, is not me, it's Ralph. I would say that I think they've only lost one game in the Premier League since he's been in. I think they've had 5 wins, 4 draws and a defeat, as I understand. And in those draws, you could argue that they could have quite easily won. So in terms of creating chances, in terms of scoring more goals than the opponent, they could have quite easily won those matches. And again, that's just the fine lines of the Premier League. Obviously, there's a managerial change halfway through the season, so that generally suggests there's something that needs to, something's happened. And then everybody, doesn't matter who you are, but unfortunately, society doesn't think like this. And then somebody's going to come in, it's going to just be a massive step change, and everything's going to be loads better. But the reality of it is, it's again what I said: small changes over time. Doesn't sound too interesting, doesn't sound too sexy, but the reality of it is that's what it is. And I think they're in a process of that. That's where they're at the moment. And they're still a fantastic club with fantastic players, really experienced football man in charge. So we know it's going to be a tough game. We have to focus on ourselves and try and play well.
Thanks, Graham. All the best.
Okay, cheers.
Graham. Luke Shaw said after the game draw against Southampton that the players could really feel tension in the Old Trafford Stadium because of when Southampton came back into it, and their recent history of playing so well in the first half and not so well in the second half. When you're facing a team with those kind of issues, does that ever change your approach? Does it affect your approach?
Not really, because I think sometimes people say things after the media, and without the total picture, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt to a certain extent. I think for us, we have to make sure that we respect our opponent, which we always do. And regardless of what the narrative around Manchester United is, you only have to look at the players they have. And going to Old Trafford in itself is a huge challenge because the crowd are so powerful there. The way they play, in a moment that the game completely changed because they've got world-class players, So for us, we have to, maintain that humility, maintain that respect for our opponent, and then try our best to play the football that we want to play or try to play, and then see how the game goes.
Brighton have never won at Old Trafford, but this group have already achieved so many things that previous squads haven't at the Albion. So is that ever a motivation? Are they ever driven? Are they relishing these little moments where they are doing these things for the first time in the club's history?
Well, I think we've tried to, when you're trying to work with a team, when you're with players, you want to create an environment where players are challenging themselves. They're doing something different. That's the whole point of improvement. Is you go into somewhere where you have not been before. That's the whole process. So, and when that happens, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. And this is the challenge of the Premier League. When you do, of course, it's the end of the world and it's a crisis, and you're not far away from them. And yet you have to have the courage to keep going. And I think that's what our players have done. And as a club, we've created those conditions to allow that. So it's a credit to everybody that runs the football club here that gives us that opportunity to do that. But it's the game on Tuesday is another test for us. It's another test for us to see how our game has developed and how our performance has developed in as tough a away environment as you can get.
You mentioned how the narrative has changed between the winless run and now this unbeaten run. How much have you seen the performance level rise? Is there a dramatic difference when you weren't getting the wins to now when, like you say, it's a much more positive narrative? Has it been a big difference?
I would say not really. As I said before, if you analyse the results and performances over the last 2 years, we were closer to the top half of the league, I would say, last year in terms of performances. But our results we were down the bottom. So you can't say that at the time because we know the world we're in, Paul. You know, it's all about results. It's about the result determines everything. If you're good, it's because you've won. And when you lose, you're not. And that's as simple as that. But obviously, from our perspective, we have to look further than that and look past that in terms of how we can analyse our performance and allow us to sort of move forward as a football club and as a team, as individuals. But I would say the performance levels have been consistent, and they've been, not to say that every week we've been perfect, because that's not the case, but generally our performance levels have been good. And as I said many times said it when we're losing, you know, we're playing in the toughest league in the world with 20 teams that are, you know, obviously very capable. So even if we perform well, we still might not win. And that's hard to understand sometimes, but it's the reality of the competition, you know, and you have to deal with that when it happens. But we've tried to be consistent. We've tried to stay relatively level, and that gives you a chance to keep moving forward.
What sort of shape is the squad in? Have you got any fresh injuries, or the couple that are out, are they closer to coming back at all?
No, we'll be probably as we were against Watford, but Enoch's not far away. We're thinking hopefully the back end of the week, hopefully. And Jeremy's getting close as well, so squad's in a good place.
Very best of luck, Graham. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Paul.
Graham, I couldn't help but notice the strapping on Lewis Dunk's knee. How is he? We know he's a warrior, but did he come through okay on the trip to Watford?
That's fine. He's getting a bit soft in his old age, isn't he? He wants to put these bandages on. He's seen all these other players wearing them, so I think now he's getting to the point in his career where he thinks, yeah, why not? I'll put one of them on. No, but he's been fine. Trained today, trained well, recovered, so he's in a good place.
Great. In terms of your play, one area where you can always improve is set pieces. I just wondered whether you had any thoughts on the delivery, particularly in recent weeks, with not just Pascal Gross, but Alexis McAllister seems to, you know, have gone to a different level. Are you conscious of that, or is that something you've particularly been working on?
Yeah, well, the guys have been, because, again, it's one of those things, a process of continual trying to improve, and it's an area that I think we've been conscious of, that we can... again, get better, but it's not the only area. It's, but no, the boys have been practicing. The team has been practicing, and it's nice to get a few rewards. Gives everybody a bit of belief.
I'm sure that Jakob Moro will have belief. He keeps getting into these positions, but not scoring. Are you just saying, just trust yourself? Because it must be encouraging that he's getting these opportunities, but not getting the goals just at the moment. No,
exactly. It's just a case of him doing exactly what he's been doing. Really pleased with him, and you see the quality that he has every day. So you know that's going to change. Again, these scoring is actually quite random. People think it's some sort of, unless you're the very, very, very top, it's quite random. And you need a little bit of luck. You need a little bit of a bounce sometimes. But the fact that he's getting there is really, really encouraging, because from a midfielder, from where he comes from, it's not easy to get there. So we need to keep working with that, and then we'll back the fact that we'll be talking about Jakob Moder and he's scoring lots of goals.
One person who's been mentioned for not scoring goals recently is Ronaldo. I just wonder what your perspective was on him, his career, and the player he is at the moment at this stage in his career.
Well, I mean, you sort of run out of superlatives in terms of what he's achieved in his career and the player that he is. I mean, it's absolutely amazing career. world class. It's out of this world class, So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say with that. I mean, it's like anything. I think too often we zoom into individuals and forget that it's a team game. And yeah, sometimes when the team isn't scoring, the person at the front of the pitch gets the zooming in, and we've had it ourselves with Neil, for example. So, as I always say, and I said it with Neil, it's not just about the individual; it's about the team. And from what I've seen, you still see the quality that he has and the quality that he brings to the group and the team. So, I've never played against him. We're looking forward to going there and pitting our wits against one of the best players of all time.
How much are you looking forward to pitting your wits against Ralph Ragnick? Is he someone you've come across before in your career?
No, I haven't. No, but I have a huge respect because of what he's achieved. Like I said earlier, he's a very experienced football person, clear idea of how he wants the game to be played. So I'm an admirer from afar. So it'd be nice to meet him. Hopefully, we can play well, and then we can maybe have a chat afterwards.
Maybe include his period playing in non-league football in Sussex as well, perhaps.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, we can share some notes. I can maybe talk about my days at Macclesfield Town. Talk about it.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Graham.
Cheers.